All right, let's go live now to the third day of the confirmation hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, President Biden's nominee to the Supreme Court, facing another round of questioning from the Senate Judiciary Committee. Yesterday's session lasted 12 hours. Jackson was pressed by Republicans, especially on the sentences that she handed down for child pornography. She was also asked about critical race theory in an elite Washington, D.C. private school where she's a board member. And she was asked what it means to be a woman, how to define that. Now, Democrats and the left, they continue to attack Republicans over their approach to this hearing. Republicans have been quick to remind them about how Justice Brett Kavanaugh was treated during his confirmation hearings back in 2018. Joining us now to talk about this, President of the Judicial Crisis Network, a former clerk for Justice Clarence Thomas, Carrie Severino's with us now. Also with us, Harvard Law Professor Emeritus and author of Guilt by Accusation, Alan Dershowitz. Great to have you both with us. Quite an esteemed panel here to talk about this.
Well, you forgot to mention that I clerked back 100 years ago to Justice Arthur Goldberg. Another clerk a year later was Steve Breyer. So we have this.
Professor Dershowitz, I unfortunately don't have time for your entire resume, but it is long and it's distinguished, and I thank you for of course, getting that in there. Now, earlier today, we had the chairman of the committee, Democrat Dick Durbin. He's apologizing to the judge, saying that this nomination has turned out to be a testing ground, he says, for conspiracy theories and culture war theories. Obviously, Carrie, that's a reference to one of the specific cases brought up by Senator Josh Hawley yesterday on the sentencing of child pornographers. Now, I want to get you both to react to this and what Josh Hawley asked the judge yesterday. We'll start with Carrie, but here's the clip.
Guidelines called for 10 years. Prosecutor wanted at least 2. You gave him 3 months.
What a judge has to do is determine how to sentence defendants proportionately consistent with the elements that the statutes include, with the requirements that Congress has set forward.
Does that answer carry any water for you, or carry enough water for you to make sense?
Yeah, you know, she's looking to the statutory elements there, but those are already taken into account in the sentencing guidelines. And what concerns me is some of the things she said, for example, said, well, this isn't so bad because the children you're looking at, the prepubescent children this 18-year-old was looking at, were close to your age. They were actually from like 8 to 12 years old, which I think we all recognize is a very big difference. But this is even more disturbing because there actually is a broader trend. There are some debates about the right sentencing levels for child pornography cases that I think this is involved in, but she has a pattern that goes across many other crimes. And I think Senator Cotton brought out some of those yesterday as well. And I think that's something worth looking for when she, as she acknowledged today, substituting her own policy judgment as she has some flexibility to do, but it's very clear which direction she is going to. And she acknowledged that policy was going into her decisions on sentencing in these cases.
Professor, as a criminal defense attorney, how do you view this? Is this standard practice, what Judge Brown Jackson has done in these sentencings?
It is standard practice. Judges depart from the guidelines all the time. I was involved in creating those guidelines back with Senator Kennedy in 1980 or so. And of course, Supreme Court justices don't sentence. So her sentencing policies seem utterly irrelevant to her qualifications. She's highly, highly qualified. She's done a great job. And she will be confirmed with at least 2 or 3 Republican votes, but perhaps more. I wouldn't be surprised if Lindsey Graham and Senator Sass and some others on the Judiciary Committee have been persuaded that she belongs on the United States Supreme Court. I long for the days when confirmations like Scalia's were 98-0 or Ginsburg's 97-2 or something like that. But those days seem to be gone forever. These hearings are partisan and they're full of hypocrisy. I'll give you an example of the hypocrisy. The Republicans are saying now that, oh, gee, you have to judge people by who they represented. They praised me to the sky for representing Donald Trump.
Yeah, and then Professor, that's why I don't think there's a lot there to talk about when it comes to representing these Gitmo detainees. I think we've moved past that. And I wasn't even focusing on that because I think your point is well taken. But I want to get carried away on this as well. And what we've seen here from Republicans, I think most people agree, is a focus on her judicial record. Obviously, they're kind of, focusing on some of these issues that resonate with a lot of people now. These are some of the cases or stories that are resonating with our audience as well. These are kind of ripped from the headlines, if you will. Let's also focus on a soundbite from Marsha Blackburn yesterday, Carrie. Here she is asking Judge Jackson about what it means to be a woman.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
I mean, obviously, so much was made about her being the first black woman nominated to the Supreme Court for this type of post here. But I wanted to get your take, Carrie, on that back and forth and what we learned or didn't learn from that exchange.
Yeah, it is ironic for someone who everyone has hailed, and we all know she would be the first black woman in that position. But what's concerning to me is the radical left has done such an effective job of bullying Judge Jackson, along with at least half of that committee, into refusing to acknowledge basic biological tenets. And that's the kind of activism they're hoping that she's going to bring to the court. That's why she is being pushed, because of all of the nominees that President Biden was looking at, she was, by all accounts, on the left and right, the most radical. And I would disagree with Professor Dershowitz on this. I think after yesterday's comments, I would be incredibly surprised if Senator Sass voted for her. And while normally Lindsey Graham is of his opinion of saying, well, I want to just vote for anyone who comes across the desk because I want to give a lot of deference to the president, I saw his outrage and concern about her answers. Senator Sass asked her, can you describe to me the different philosophies of the current sitting Supreme Court justices? He asked her in his office. She said she'd get back to him. He asked her again yesterday. She said, I still don't really know. I think it would be hard for him to imagine when she was refusing to provide him answers on a question that most people would be expected to ask and be able to answer articulately in a clerkship interview, that he would be willing to vote for her when she refuses to tell them even what other people's judicial philosophies are, let alone what her own philosophy is, which she has alternately claimed to have and not to have, and claimed to not be an originalist, and also claimed to want to follow the original meaning. It's kind of duck and cover and trying to be everything to everyone without disclosing her real approach to the law.
This is interesting. Go ahead, Professor Dershowitz. Go ahead.
She was 100% right in refusing to answer the question, what's a woman? Is a woman or a man somebody who competes in swimming, who was a man and has become a woman? Those are great debates that are going on. I long for the day when the first president of the United States appoints a transgender justice to the Supreme Court. Then nobody can say that, oh, there's an advantage because he was once a man and will be a better swimmer than the woman. When you're a justice of the Supreme Court, you can be transgender, and we're living at a time when the continuum has come into operation, and women who were born women have become men, and men who have been born men have become women.
I think, as we, you talk about this is a debate that's happening right now. There could be Title IX cases that come before the court. I think it's a valid question. Same thing with her answers about when, a child can feel pain. She was asked about that today. This is obviously going to come forth with the Dobbs case, if she's going to rule in on that or other abortion-related cases. So, I think, and again, we're not talking about high school calendars here. I don't know if everyone agrees with you on whether she has a right to deny it. Of course, it's a strategic move as well, because there doesn't seem to be enough votes to stop her, at least based on what we've heard so far. But this was a great conversation. We are out of time, unfortunately, Professor Dershowitz. I would love to continue, but we got to go to commercial break. Thanks to Carrie Severino as well. Thanks, guys.